Okay. Thank you, everybody, for joining. And we got Sarah. So as the title says, this is Effective Course Videos. I'm going to branch a little bit into the Studio program because that's the one that I mainly recommend, but also I'm going to talk mainly about the different trade-offs and choices and just how to create stuff without getting very bogged down, especially in editing. Um, so when you're looking at making videos, you do want to, you have a couple options for exactly which tool you want to use. And by tool, I mean, what do you use to record, both software and hardware? Um, and that, which tool you use is going to depend a lot on what is the ultimate purpose of the video that you're making. Is it a full-on lecture? Is it quick little updates, presentations? All that depends, all that will affect which tool you're going to use. And I'll have a few things to say about the length of the videos that you make and the format that you use. And what I think is most effective is how you can do this without spending a whole lot of time editing what you've made. And we'll finish up with what it looks like to actually put these in your class and different options for publishing. So as far as tools go, the first, almost the easiest option is to do what I'm doing right now, which is just use Zoom and record it. Like that, that'll get you going right off the bat. And if you were going to just repost your 50 or 100-minute lectures off of your online live class, that can fall a little bit flat because there's a lot of filler in there that you don't really want to put everybody through if you don't have to. So the other big option is Studio, which I think we're hopefully mostly familiar with. Is who here has used Studio at least once? Out of 4, 2,
Also, I did.
3.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, it's the built-in tool has really come a long way. So I wholeheartedly recommend it. That didn't always used to be the case. They even have an editor built into it, which is great, but it also means it can suck up hours of time if you let it. And as the final category, I put phone, but that could be any kind of other camera or just something that something that's not a laptop or a computer like we're all probably using right now. And I would put that more in not advanced so much, but if you're losing that screen capture ability, then you're kind of going to have a plan for what it is you're doing. If you're videoing a whiteboard, or if you just want to be outside talking, and that would be kind of a different purpose. So you do want to think about ahead of time. You want to think about mainly over in the bubble here. Is this a required video? Are you doing your lectures on video? Is this going to be the course content? Or is this something that's extra, either an extra pathway for one or some students, or some remedial help, or maybe you can just talk to a student or a group of students to give feedback that you don't really feel like typing in, or you don't feel like they're going to sit down and read it all. So the answer to this question kind of affects a lot. It affects your production values, like how much time you want to spend making it perfect. And it affects if you're legally required to do captions and do the full, accessibility compliance. So it basically, if it's a required material, then it needs to have good, perfect captions and be accessible. If it's optional, or if it's only for one or a few students, then those requirements are relaxed a little bit. So where does it fit in? If you're going to do videos as the core lecture, I would say that's a great choice. You're signing up for some work, but it doesn't have to be perfect. You can kind of put a lot of effort into some portion of your semester's videos. They don't all have to be perfect high production value. And the assumption is you're going to teach the same course next semester and you can continue your efforts. So just like the first year of teaching for any teacher is way, way more work than the following years. It's the same with building this kind of content. There's a heavy workload in the first year, and I'll say it a few times. Students aren't expecting it to be perfect. They know that you're a real person and you don't have a TV studio behind you, and they'd still rather see you than just read PowerPoints or read web pages. Um, and again, smaller one-off videos or just to be able to talk to students, that's also a great idea. We all know how reluctant they are to read big blocks of text. So I think a lot of times it's easier to just talk to students, and they perceive it easier. And you kind of give up the ability to reuse what you're making, but that shouldn't be a problem. And other uses of videos. Does anyone here have other ideas
Yes,
of other ways they would use it?
yes. We can do like screen recording with Studio
Mhm.
for class introduction. Like
Oh,
for
okay.
example, if you have some screenshots of your Canvas pages and
Mhm.
you can make a PowerPoint file and then you can show them to the students while doing the course introduction. And I did that for my online class. I'm teaching at another campus.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a great one. Anyone else? Another one might be just a how to, not exactly a lecture, but just how to do a particular problem for math, for example, or a worked out example. Doesn't have to be an entire lecture. It could just be how to approach this problem and step by step going through it, or how I would fix this paragraph. You know, um, you can you can break your content up into pretty small chunks, and it might seem awkward to you, and often your students will really appreciate it. And so you can just kind of present an individual problem or two. So again, students prefer under 10 minutes, even if you have a 40-minute lecture. Um, it helps them to kind of focus on that one thing. And also just the nature of the medium is when you're sitting at a computer or you're sitting at a phone, we're just not used to holding our attention like classroom style attention for 50 minutes at a time. Like our mindset is just different when you're at home watching something. So if you can, even if you have a 40-minute lecture, if you can break it up, that's great. It also helps you, if you're only doing 10 minutes, it helps you be able to get it right the first time around. And that's going to be the key to my how not to spend all your time editing. If you can kind of plan out 10-minute chunks, then if you really goof up, you can start over, or you just have a smaller window to kind of get it right. And in subsequent semesters, if you do want to update things, you can update 10 minutes rather than a whole 40-minute session. So I don't think we naturally do that, especially if you're first online class. Your instinct is not to do that, and I would really encourage you to try and keep those videos short and targeted. Even super short videos, students do not have a problem with it. Um, And as far as a format, PowerPoint with a talking head, students think it's just fine. But again, you're not in a classroom and you don't have a captive audience. So you do have to kind of trim out all that, all your comments before and after and really get to the point fast. Any kind of computer demonstration, that's perfect for screencasting. And it is nice to leave your computer and take your phone outside if you're just going to talk to your students, if you want to do an introduction for the week, if you want to do those, I'll call it filler content, but the time in the classroom, the first 10 minutes, and you're talking about what assignments are coming up or what's been going on or just kind of setting the mood, you can do that outside away from the computer. That's kind of a nice break in an online class.
I say something about that, Peter?
Uh-huh.
So you did that in the Got One class, and this is the first time I've taken Got One with you.
Uh-huh.
And that really relaxed me. You did like
Mhm.
5-minute check-in for the first week of class, I think,
Mhm.
outside. And it was like, oh, okay, I can do this.
Oh, good.
Because I had started Got so many times before and never finished it. It was just too much reading, too much, at the beginning of the semester. But that
Yeah.
you just kind of relaxed me so that I could say, okay, I can do this time. So,
Oh, okay.
thank you.
I'm glad to hear that. So, like I said before, decide up front what is the point of the video or what is the purpose of it. Decide up front if this is something you're going to use next semester. And speaking from experience, things I didn't necessarily intend to reuse, I ended up reusing because that's the nature of life. And with that in mind, then there's some things you want to kind of stay away from. You can talk about it in class, but maybe somewhere else, or maybe written down on a web page. Um, Stuff like what month it is, or the upcoming Thanksgiving holiday, or specific due dates. Once it's on video, it's kind of burned in. You could edit it, but that's um, grueling work. So if you can kind of build up an awareness of talking about things that are evergreen or things that are not going to go out of date, and you can still be natural and do that. You can talk about current things either separately or written down on a web page. But you do want to, even where you do mention them, you don't really want to put due dates all over your class in 4 different places, because next semester you'll miss one of them for updating. And as a student, it drives you nuts to see random dates there. Even though you know their intention, it makes you a little bit crazy. So just have that awareness of that you're not talking about super current things. Editing is fun. My advice would be give yourself an hour, or once you know how to do it, or give yourself 2 hours to put together the whole video and just stop. Because it's one of those things that you can fiddle with it endlessly. And once you get into it, it is kind of fun to do it endlessly, but you're not going to improve it that much. And 5 hours will have gone by before you know it. My rule of thumb is I could do it a couple of times, a workshop like this. I could do it a couple of times live and feel good about doing it for a recording. Or just do, even if I have a 10-minute thing I want to record, actually record it 2 times with the intention of throwing those away. And the third one will be great. That's a nice ideal. I know it isn't always we're not gonna have time for that. And then you will know for yourself probably already if you would like to have a script written out, or paragraphs of text, or just an outline. You know yourself best. Again, I've said all this. If you're going to reuse it, it is an investment. It will pay off. It's a ton of work up front, especially the first time you teach a class. That time that you get back next semester, it's either your time that you already put in, or you can improve other parts of the course. Up to you. Don't be too generic and boring, but to keep out the talking about the weather and the holidays and things. We've all mostly gone through this phenomenon once we all had to go onto Zoom. It's terrible. It's terrible to watch yourself, and especially to hear yourself. And then when you're editing, you're forced to listen to yourself over and over. And I have, you know, everyone I mention in it to this grimaces along with me. It just kind of hurts at first, and it stops hurting. You know, you get used to it, and it's not that big of a deal. Nobody is judging you as harshly as you're judging yourself. You're used to talking in front of a class. You know, you got used to that. It's not as big a deal as it feels like at first. Students definitely don't mind it. They would much rather see you with all of your imperfections than not. So rehearse, you know, all the good teacher stuff. Don't have a boring monotone. Change the, you know, your pace and your pitch. Don't go on and on. That's all true for any kind of class. For making videos specifically, getting good sound is the best payoff. If you're going to put some effort into your studio or your environment, a nice microphone would be my first recommendation. And I'm at school right now, I'm on the laptop, but at home I do have a nice microphone that I think sounds a lot better. You can spend time, you can put some lights up in front of you, and it does help, but overall the quality of the sound is the first biggest jump in improvement. So this is new, in Studio, you know, on the screen where they have, in the first screen of Studio, and you see all of your videos, we now have, under this is Edit Media. And this was here before. You only had one chance to do it right when you recorded a screencast and uploaded it. And now it's kind of built in. You can do it at any time. And it's a fairly basic editor. They did a pretty good job, seeing as how it's through the web. And the whole idea is, I think mainly it's around this cut button. So you have your timeline down here, and you can pick a point and make a cut. So, you know, I would be watching it and picking out a point right in between a sentence, and you can make a cut and confirm it. And it's kind of like if you think of a strip of paper, you've cut it, and if you do another one.
What you did here, please clarify from how many seconds to how many seconds, how you select it.
So I'm not really editing right now. How I would select it is I would play the video and then stop it. Reading and some watching videos. So I would stop it, say I want to, what follows, I want to cut that out. So I would cut once, you know, make a cut.
Okay.
And then find the place where I want to jump back in and make a cut there.
So that means the first point where you click, you have to drag it to the other seconds to up to what you want to cut it. Means from
you know what? I'm telling you wrong. I'm sorry.
Second, you have to drag the point up to where you cut it from in between. Okay.
You're right. Yeah.
Excuse me, Peter, can you say that again? So you don't have to cut twice, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. You said
Yeah.
Like this.
and then, okay.
Yeah.
And, okay.
You are absolutely right. So this would delete that little segment.
Okay.
And I think if I play it now, can I hit play now? Answers to the survey questions. No, you have to play it ahead of time and figure out your exact times.
Okay.
Yeah, you were right about that. And then trim does the same thing, but just at the very beginning or at the very end. So this reddish area is what's going to get trimmed away and removed. It's too bad they called the cancel button discard because you are literally discarding this portion. But this means cancel, and confirm trim means actually delete this red portion here.
Okay. So
And
that is the cut written there automatically comes when you choose something inside the video. Otherwise, it is always trim in the Zoom also.
say it again.
The cut, CUT cut.
Mhm.
Yeah, this comes, these both buttons I can see in studio, but in Zoom, we have only one button. That's the teaser one.
Oh, so Zoom, I haven't looked, they might have an editor like this also. I haven't
No,
looked
they have
at it.
only one Caesar type of thing, but I am not sure. Can we cut it from the center like we do here?
I bet you can.
You need not to go there. You
Go there,
continue
okay.
with this only, please.
Okay,
Next time I will ask you.
so that they might have set it up the way I was saying it first, where you if you have a part you want to take out, you cut at the beginning, cut at the end. And
Yes,
you can highlight that portion and delete it.
yes. That's the only option I see in Zoom.
Okay, yeah, that's a pretty common way of editing too.
But this is the best way, like we can cut from the center also.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's built in now. I still like I have another program called Wondershare. It was under $50, and it's an actual program on the PC. For the money, if you're going to spend any kind of time tidying up your videos, it's totally worth it for me.
What is the name, please?
Wondershare.
Thanks.
On Macs, I'm pretty sure they still come with iMovie, and it is fantastic. And
So I have a question real quick, Peter.
yeah,
When you made this outdoor video, did you use your phone and then upload it to YouTube?
I used my phone, and then I went to iLearn on the web browser in my phone, and I uploaded it to Studio
Oh,
from the video file on
oh,
my phone.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah, it's pretty, one step basically. I had kind of a stack of different objects, not a tripod to kind of get it at eye level facing me. But yeah, if you keep it simple, you can still get stuff done.
Thank you.
And if you kind of have an idea of your basically what you want to end up with, if it's too ambitious, then reality will quickly set in. You'll realize this is going to take 5 hours if I cut out every I would say go back and record it without the ums and the ahs, and that would be faster than editing. So you'll have an idea of what I would, what's nice, what's perfect, and kind of the bare minimum necessary, and you'll end up with something in between those.
Can you show us the closed caption option there where we can edit?
Yeah.
Otherwise, I know that we can upload also the transcript file, and we can request for the closed captions.
Yeah. So for that, you would click on the video itself, right? This is the videos page, and you have these are 4 tabs.
Yeah, captions.
Yeah, so you can change the name and stuff. On the captions one, so I have already done this. Let me find a video that I haven't done it. You basically, you request for captions to be made. Let's do that one. No captions added. You request, oops, all you have to do is tell it
Yeah, language.
that it is English or whichever language. And then it'll say the processing. This is generally doesn't take very long, but it's longer than you want to spend here staring at it. So it'll email you when it's done. And then you have a final step, which is to go in and edit them. And I probably have a video where I haven't done that yet. Do I not published? Yeah. So it'll email you and say, hey, you have captions that are ready. And then, oh, I look terrible. Then you have this interface that's it's not bad. It'll basically play the video for this section and you can edit. So you can kind of watch and be editing. So, oh, it's over here. So for any of these, you make your edits and then you just kind of keep on playing or click on the next one.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
There's good tips in here about how to get the best out of your home studio or office. Yeah, so you just go down making corrections. And you can do, you know, play it faster. For doing captions, playing faster here is a pretty good one. Is that helpful?
Thank you. And we are doing some other editing options also here.
No, here is just captions.
Not in the captions. Like in today's meeting, are we learning some other editing also? Like
that's about it for editing. Like my main point is to avoid it.
okay. Is it like putting a music sometime or
that anything fancier than what I just showed you, you would want to go to a different program,
okay.
like iMovie or Wondershare.
Okay.
Or the other one actually now works really well is the site Canva. Have any of you heard of that? Canva.com. It started out as a good way to make kind of flyers or graphics. It's really good, and they've added video production to it, and it's surprisingly good. That's some of these are from Canva.
Okay.
But
I have a question.
But we
Yeah.
need to pay for that, right, Peter? Sorry.
So far I'm doing well on the free account.
Oh, okay.
You can, but they're not limiting me, and they're not doing watermarks or anything like that.
I have a question. Is there a way to edit, like if I said something wrong, like in one of my videos, instead of saying increasing, I said decreasing. Is there any way to edit that? Otherwise, I have to make another video.
Pretty much.
Okay.
What I do is I put it in I write it into the captions. Whoops. And then otherwise I'm
Oh.
spending 10 hours, which I have done.
Yeah.
Okay,
being
yeah,
really-
yes.
But I have heard in studio, we can cut from the center if we said something wrong, and we can insert a video inside the video. My friend told me, but I don't know how to do it.
Oh, that's great.
She was doing a mathematics problem question, and she wrote some segment for 30 seconds, something wrong there on the paper. She said, I cut it from the center and inserted another. We made a new video for 30 seconds and inserted inside, but I don't know how to do it.
You know, I would like to think that's true. I'm not seeing a way. I could look some more, but I'm not seeing anything like that.
I think when we record, like screen capture or otherwise, we edit there, then we have a lot of options there. but not in the video which is already done.
Yeah, you're right.
Yes,
This is different from the editor of,
yes, yes.
and you only see it right before you upload what you've recorded.
Yeah, before you finalize it.
Yeah. So that might be possible there. I'm not seeing a way to do it here. So the way around that is if you're recording and you know you've made a mistake and you just can't tolerate it, say it over again, and then you can come back and just delete. And
Okay, yeah, that would be helpful.
yeah. Then you have to remember to do it, because
Yes.
otherwise it looks quite
Peter,
unprofessional.
can you repeat that?
So if we don't have, real editing where you could insert a correction, your best workaround for that is if you really say a wrong thing, you can just kind of start the sentence fresh and come back and delete the earlier one. Does that make sense? So you have to kind of catch yourself in the moment.
Mhm.
I did that 3 years back when COVID started. So what I did in my Canvas, I put a note above the video that
Yeah.
at 2 minutes and 30 seconds,
Mhm.
I said this wrong. Actually, it is this. So that's what I did like 2 years, 3 years back.
I think that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, before the video, just inform them that you did a mistake.
Yeah.
And I wrote a mathematical figure wrong there, so that's I corrected that one.
That's good. And also, if you're putting the video up with comments, remember the comments appear at the time that at the timeline. And so you can, if you made a comment here at 1:44, it would pop up when they watch it. And so you could say, actually, I meant to say this. That's only if you're going to publish it with the comments turned on.
Could I add to what Neelam said?
Mhm.
So you can also say to the class, oh, I'm sorry, you don't meet them live. I mean, I do both asynchronous and live. So I say, okay, did anyone find the mistake that I made?
Yep.
Because somebody always does. And they
Okay.
get very disturbed by it.
So, and I did show you this. This shouldn't be a surprise for anyone. Most programs, and all of the YouTubes and all the different things that we have will do transcriptions. They get better and better, but coming out of that, robot transcription, it's not good enough. You need real capital letters. You need to fix, it won't even recognize Gavilan or iLearn and lots of words that you say. It's just something we have to do. If you're in a course that has, say, a lot of math terms or Latin names or mixed languages, then you have a heavier workload. And if that becomes too much, then you can reach out to us and to the AEC, and there is a grant that'll pay for that. We just have to have some lead time, like a month at least, to be able to get that done and put it through the pipeline. And then I can repeat the basic rule of, is our captions legally required? Is that material a required part of the course? Is it mandatory viewing? Then yes, it must be captioned. Not to say that anything else shouldn't be captioned. I think a whole generation now is used to having the subtitles on just for everything. I've kind of gotten into that myself. So it's not necessarily something you want to skip. And then has everybody here put a studio video into an iLearn page? Have we all done this? No? Yes, no? So this is kind of, for me, this is the default. You haven't yet, Sandra. There's other ways to put this into your class. You can put a studio video directly into the modules list. I prefer making a page and putting the video on the page. Just, you have that chance, you know, like I have some text up here above and below. You have a chance to make comments or set a context. And the video itself, it comes from this icon here that looks something like a monitor with tentacles. Let me see, yeah. So that'll lead you to a thing to, it'll show you your studio videos, and you pick one out. And at that point, you'll also decide if you want to have the comments feature, but it doesn't say that exactly. Let me go do one. It says something very unclear, like,
I think these days they have changed the view. In the last one, it gives you 2-3 options: studio, 3C media.
yeah, yeah. So in this little plugin one, it gives you kind of all of our different embeddings, and studio is one of them, and there's a couple more.
Studio is one of them now. Yes.
Yeah, view all. Yeah, there's more and more of these. So these are other stuff that we've kind of added. Films on Demand is through the library. It's a bunch of videos. And then Play Pause It is kind of neat. It'll let you do more interactive stuff. But when you just do a normal studio video, so you get your list. This is exactly the same list as when I click on studio. It's just kind of compressed. So say I pick out a video, display media tabs. For some reason, they rewrote this to be very unclear. The main tab that it shows is the comments tab. And that's that feature that I was talking about when you add a comment on a studio video, and it marks it to that point on the timeline, and the comment actually shows up in a bubble on the video. It's kind of neat. But it's a little separate from the rest of iLearn. It's not a discussion forum. It's not hooked up to the grade book. You know, it's kind of off in its studio area. But for what it does, it's neat. And then the other option is allow them to download, which that's your choice. So you would click that embed button, and just like embedding a picture, you know, it drops it in. And the first thing you'll realize is that it's huge, and it takes over your whole window of editing, right? And that can get very ungainly if you are making a page around it. And my number one advice is, from the text editor's point of view, that whole video is, it looks like one character. So it is one character. See, now I'm using my cursor keys on the keyboard, and I can move the cursor one at a time. And when I move back one more time, that whole video is highlighted now. I could delete it or cut it right now with it highlighted. Or sometimes it's hard to get immediately before the video. Use your keyboard cursor keys. You know, it's hard to click here and get exactly there, but I can use the keyboard and be able to get right before it. I could, if I wanted to put some space above it, then I could.
I have a question. Sometimes we upload a video from our computer, then a big window under the video appears, and it also shows some comments or something.
Yeah.
That looks really weird. How we can crop that?
Once it's done, the only way is to delete it and re-embed it. That's this choice right here. That's the one I was just talking about.
Okay, display media tabs or don't display. Okay,
Yeah, and it's unfortunate it wasn't clear to begin with, and now it has this display media tabs makes no sense to me.
okay,
It's
thank you.
basically, do you want to show that it's an area as big as the video again with comments? So that's how you turn off the comments.
Thank you.
Once it's in, I don't know of a way to go and turn them off. You just delete it and embed it again.
Thank you.
Mhm. And then I had one other thing to show you here, which is, well, first of all, you'll run into this. If my screen is too small to show all the buttons, the rest are hidden under these three dots. So when I hit the three dots, it expanded. This one with a little cloud, that's kind of the old-fashioned way to do embeds. And what it's giving you here is just a place to paste into. And that's how we used to always do it. And a lot of places on the web will give you an embed code, which is a string of text. It's HTML and it'll have a bunch of kind of code and characters. The point is you copy it exactly and you paste it into here. That's how you can embed anything else. So YouTube or any other video service, a lot of our fancier little web services, like, I don't know, whiteboards or flashcards or all the different little things people come up with. But this is how they get embedded if you ever want to. Any questions about that or making a page with a video on it? I'm going to cancel that. And then there is something that you get. It's easy to see if you've turned on the comments. And I've always meant to go looking if you could see it otherwise, but it's your list of who has viewed the video. It's really nice to see, but so far I've only ever seen it when you include comments because it's in that same space down there. Maybe my video is too far back to find it. Has anybody seen what I'm talking about? For me, that's a great reason to include the comments because there it is. You get this Insights tab. And yeah, unless it's inserted into a class, just finding the video here doesn't have it associated with any particular class. So if I had turned on comments, I would see all the students in the class. I would see an overall graph with a timeline and kind of their cumulative watch time. You can kind of see also for any individual person, you can see when they watched it, what they skipped. It's pretty nice. I'll come back. This might be, okay, this is pretty much the end. So this is just kind of a review. As far as screencasting goes, the more you practice it and the more that you see that little rectangle as your video camera, you can kind of set up You can set up windows the right size, so you can just drag them in, you know, or switch programs, and you can kind of switch to different screens, kind of like I'm doing in Zoom with the web browser and the PowerPoint. So practicing with the screencast does pay off. Buy a microphone. We talked about that. Forgetting, you know, your classroom habits of spending some time warming people up and getting them, you know, filling up that time when people are getting situated and unpacking and finding their seat. You don't have to do that. So if it's a habit, try to not have that habit. Nobody expects perfection. Nobody is judging you as harshly as you're judging yourself. So do some practice, do some takes, but, you know, go ahead and grit your teeth and post it. And keep it simple. The more simple that you can kind of keep your presentation or your style or your editing, I think the happier you'll be, the quicker you'll get it done, and the more likely you are to be successful. And good teaching doesn't have to be fancy, and it doesn't have to have a studio and editors behind it. You can focus on your speaking and your content, and your students will appreciate it. And that's going to do it for my presentation. Can I show you one little trick that I do with PowerPoint that kind of helps? You know, you're not seeing it, but on Zoom, I'm only presenting in a small box on my screen. And when you do a share screen, that's under the advanced tab. So it's very similar to the screencast, you know, the dotted line we get. And on PowerPoint, under the slideshow tab, there is setup slideshow button. And you can change it from full screen to an individual window. And that'll make it so the PowerPoint doesn't take over your whole screen. Like, let me show you so you can actually see it. You know, so I have PowerPoint here. And if I go into presentation, the presentation stays just in the window. So I don't need to be, first of all, recording, you know, a big high def screen, because that's a huge video size to be passing it around. And I don't know, it's just nicer that you have part of your screen that's not on camera, that you can be doing other things. And otherwise it's a normal PowerPoint presentation. Okay, so that is what I got.
Thank you so much, Peter. Totally
Thank you,
worth
Peter.
it. I'm
Thank
not
you.
going to do the 5 hours anymore.
Good. Good, and thank you all for coming. I'm glad you were able to. And is there anything else that you would like to see?